Dear viewers, I am CMG reporter Wang Xiaopei. Today is the National Maritime Day. This is the Bohai Gulf behind me. And the vessel 542 has completed its first navigation. It's independently developed and designed here in China. Dear viewers, I am CMG reporter Wang Xiaopei. Today is National Maritime Day. So behind me that's Bohai Gulf. And I am now on 542 vessel. It is an independently designed vessel that has accomplished its first navigation sail. It's also an LNG-powered patrol ship. It is indeed an intelligent vessel. Previously, we say that there are so many uncertainties of navigation. They have to rely on the experience of the captain or even luck. With technological development, navigation in the ocean has become more efficient and safer with those technologies. Now, with this live streaming, we are going to present you about the intelligent system inside this patrol ship. And with us, we have a guest here, Mr. Yu Kun, the chief engineer of CNOC. I am the deputy general manager of Tianjin branch of CNOC. Could you please introduce to us about the title of the vessel called the LNG-powered patrol ship? What is the function of this ship? I'm really honored to be here to introduce Bohai Oil Field and these patrol ships on the National Maritime Day. We are standing in the brain of this vessel. We have very advanced technology and also 360 degrees of window. As Madam Wang said, we have the intelligent system to have automated data transmission, control, and monitoring. We have integrated AI, big data, and other intelligent technologies with this vessel. And it's also the first independently designed and developed patrol ship in China. Let's dig deeper into the inside of this vessel. Because of 5G signal coverage, we could complete the live streaming on the ship. And also in front of us, we have a full view. It's really a good view for us. I feel good standing here. It's like a room with a view. This window is very useful. There is no dead spot, blind spot. And with a broad view, the captain will feel happier while sailing in the ocean. It's also a supplement to the monitoring. Please allow me to introduce. Bohai oil field has been put into production for 50 years. It has contributed 49.3 billion tons of oil and gas to China. During the 13th five-year plan period, Bohai oil field has implemented the instructions of General Secretary Xi Jinping. And I work in CNOC. We also are guided by this 7-year action plan. We have explored 196 and 10/2 oil field. In 2021, Bohai oil field has a crude oil production of over 31 million tons, exceeding the volume of Daichin oil field, ranking number 1 of oil production in China. From this window, I could see some facilities in the Bohai oil field. We could see the engineering part on the ocean. It's really a very important supportive base. And what can the vessel 542 contribute to the Bohai oil field? On October the 15th, 2021, the first maritime intelligent oil field in Qinhuangdao was put into operation. The oil field harnessed industry AOI and big data and other new technologies. In Bohai Gulf, it has a modern and digital AI functionalities. In Qinhuangdao, Chaopeidian, we have put into operation the demonstration projects. It is also the largest size oil field. We could help to reduce energy consumption and emissions with those new technologies. So it is both efficient and also green. The design of this vessel called 542, as Madam Wang said, was a supplement to the smart and intelligent oil field. It gives further play to AI, big data, in terms of production efficiency, emission reduction, and cost control. This vessel has been a big play. That's why we have introduced about the LNG power. If we keep using the traditional energy, and if we use LNG, what is the energy or the emission cut that can be realized by the LNG power? I don't have the detailed data, and now it's only the forecast stage because it hasn't been used. After all, as we know, LNG is a clean energy. Traditionally, we will burn diesel. So by using the clean energy for our power supply, it is also suitable for hitting the carbon neutrality and carbon peaking targets. So this is like an intelligent guarantee. It makes our entire navigation process greener and more cost efficient. Yes, cost control is one way of exploring the oil field. Why is this vessel called the big patron of the ocean? What can it do? It's really an LNG-powered patrol ship. So it can do a lot of patrolling job, like the guard on the ocean. We could see similar ships on the ocean. When operating normally, it can be used for transportation. The deck could be used to transport the needed materials. It can also serve as the rescuer. So this patrol ship has a lot of functions. It's really the guardian of safety on the ocean. It must be economical based on the weather, and all of those workers on the deck are relying on the safety of this vessel. And this vessel has a lot of services to offer. It is multifunctional, and it has a very high ratio of utilization. With the LNG New Clean as a replacement, it has a very good environmental protection effect. To put it simply, if we use a metaphor, for example, if we put this vessel on the overland, it's like an LNG-powered truck. It serves as the transportation means on the ocean. With the high ratio of utilization, it is safer and environmental friendly and green. So the operation of this vessel will contribute greatly to Bohai oil field. It targets at 40 million tons. I can share more about the target of 40 million tons. This is our strategic target. As I mentioned, Bohai oil field has become the #1 oil field in China. Standing at this new stage, we have to clarify the next target. Our first target is 40 million tons of crude oil to build up the reserve in the Bohai oil field and install Bohai oil field as the #1 oil field in China. Of course, to hit that target, firstly, we must continuously invest heavily in the exploration. According to the requirement of CNOOC, we will carry out 3 big projects. You may have not heard about the 3 projects and the 1 big action plan. Roughly speaking, it's about technological innovation project, green leapfrogging development project, and so on. And this vessel is one part of the 3 projects and 1 action plan. The 1 action plan is about quality improvement and efficiency boosting. And in the final analysis, we must rely on our strengths in energy. We are using actual actions to contribute to China. With my introduction, those are just paving the way for more highlights. I've talked so much about vessel 542, but for the key parameters and utilities in the vessel, we have to refer to our captain. Now let's give the microphone to our captain. Could you please say hi to our viewers? Hello, Madam Wang. Hello, I am captain of this vessel, Zhou Jianguang. We are looking forward to your lecture. We know that technologies have been integrated in those vessels, including the patrol ships, so as to be safer and more efficient. We know that this vessel is independently developed. It's our own vessel. Could you please introduce the difference of this vessel compared to the previous generations? Allow me to introduce about our systems. There is no axis for the engine. The previous ships have the axis. So, this ship gives no noise, and it could sail more precisely. And it could change the frequency. With that frequency modulation, the direction of the vessel can be changed. I see. The first time I get on board, I questioned about the steering wheel. There is no steering wheel here. In the vessel 3800, there was a very big steering wheel. It was an imported vessel, but now, as you can see, the steering wheel is becoming smaller. And there is no axis at all. You could just push it like it, very slightly, to change the direction of the ship. It's just like the autonomous driving technology. The autonomous driving cars have the full screen. The steering wheel is getting smaller, but the intelligence level is up high. The captain usually sits behind. In the front of the deck, the main function is navigation. We have a smart navigation system. Now let's go backward. There are 4 parts about the intelligence: smart energy efficiency, smart warehousing, and so on. The smart navigation system behind the stage is critical for the front-end navigation. There is an electronic map in the front and real-time climatic situation. And such information is updated every 4 hours. For example, with the smart navigation system, you firstly design your route automatically. For some destinations, you may have to put in the destinations manually. For example, where are you going? What is the weight of the goods on board? What are the passengers? And then with those information typed in, it can generate the route automatically. This is a preset information. Just read the information in the system. And then the route is well designed. This is one navigation route. The electronic maritime map is more accurate. What is it? It's a platform added by the meteorological forecast every 4 hours. There will be more details. For example, if there is any emergencies like the typhoon, we will have to upgrade the sailing route to make it safer. And energy consumption will be secondary to safety. Now let's click Navigation Upgrading. The blue line. The light blue line was the original route, but with the typhoon getting in, it automatically designs a different route to stay away from the typhoon. That's colored in green. The green arrows represent the new route, so it's more precise, and the navigator would rely on such information. The safer the sailing is, the more economical it will be. Without the weather factor, this system can choose different routes so as to make this sailing experience more economical. For example, there will be the input of wind velocity, the airflow, and other information for the system to calculate the navigation direction and the navigation speed to produce the most economical route. So there is a combination of different factors in the system. Yes, the system has to strike a balance with the numerous indicators. For example, this is an upgraded navigation route. For example, if we choose prioritization of the energy consumption, and if you turn on the total cost, click. It's like different modes. Those routes will reduce energy consumption. What other parameters do you have to look at? For example, the wind velocity or the weight on board. There are 34 cameras on board. Sorry, 1,200 cameras on board. Speaking of the parameters, they are contained here, and they change real time. And then they are processed in this platform in order to generate the new route. My understanding of intelligence technology has been evolving. Previously, we believed that it will be user-friendly with the high-tech. That's Intelligence 1.0. Time after time, the smart ships are coming into being with more cameras installed, generating more precise calculation with the meteorological system added in and more modules piled up in this vessel. We are cementing the foundation of this vessel. If all the vessels sailing on the ocean could realize that intelligence level and interact with each other, they can try to avoid collision against the other ships. It's just like the connected vehicles or autonomous driving vehicles. Of course, the intelligent system cannot replace the role of people. It's just that the big data can reduce manpower. You have some leniency. For example, you don't have to do this job in the front, but the final decision lies in the people. The captain has faith in the system. It reduces the labor force. And it seems that the system is very useful. For example, the emergency weather conditions are commonly used. We just now experienced the smart navigation system. There must be more systems. Yes, there are other systems, and my colleague, Mr. Wang, will be responsible for the other systems. Just now, we experienced a smart navigation system, and Mr. Wang, could you please introduce yourself? Dear viewers of CMG, I am Wang Huizeng. Please allow me to introduce the smart cabin system. It's also called the health management system. Why? As our captain said, there are 1,200 monitored spots on the ship by the cameras. It's like the health management and examination of this vessel. If the ship has certain problems, we will give early warning. We will have evaluation of the health status of the vessel. For example, if it's an early warning status, we will readjust our maintenance and repair plan to intervene. So with big data, for example, the pressure or temperature will have to be preset first. If the real-time temperature or pressure goes below or above the preset thresholds, there will be an early warning. Yes. It will give out alert to ask for help. And also the system can automatically generate a solution in its service center here. We can send out an email to the experts as well. Could you please show us if there is any contingencies what will happen? With our health analysis, you could see that in this page of abnormal situations, there will be some alerts. Could you mark it? Those are some testing records. In the historical events, you could check it. There may be hundreds of possible causes. And it will also give some recommended results. You make the final judgment, and also the system can recommend some solutions. If the problem is not properly solved, you could press this button, the blue button called Ask for the Onshore Service, which are referring to the experts. In the interaction, it's like a co-counseling of the problem. If the fault is eradicated, the information of that event will be stored here. It's like a library for the experts and the practitioners to retrieve. Just like in the hospitals, we are trying to accumulate our diagnosis and treatment experience. Firstly, there is a preset threshold. If the threshold is exceeded, then the system can automatically make the diagnosis. And if the system cannot solve the problem, we can ask for help from the experts in real persons. So we've heard about the smart brain, and there is another smart heart. It's below the deck. But since there is no signal below, we have videotaped a short video. Let's see how the smart brain and smart heart are cooperating together. This is the end of our introduction. Now please enjoy the video. The 542 are equipped with 2 propellers. The power is 1030 kilowatts. It can rotate 360 degrees. It is very flexible. The fire extinguishing system has 2 functions, inward and outward. It has a water fire extinguishing system and some other oven equipment. The pump, an emergency pump, are the protection firewall. And 542 are equipped with 3 LNG and diesel co-powered systems. LNG-powered system have 3 different units to provide natural gas. LNG has the smart control system and the safety protection system. The control system is in the emergency control room with a lot of parameters. The LNG equipment position has 3 combustible gas detecting system. It has also real-time monitoring of the leakage of LNG system. Dear viewers, I am Ji Fei from the CMG. On the National Maritime Day, we've come to Dalian City. And now we are bringing you this live stream on a vessel. It's Yu Kun vessel, the sailing teaching vessel. It's also the first navigation education base. There will be a lot of primary and secondary school students on board today. And this is the first opening day to these students. It is a good day today. And the topic for today's National Maritime Day is also set about leading the green low-carbon smart trend offshore. And there is 1 week of activities to celebrate the National Maritime Day. Different entities have published their documents about the navigation. There are some Chinese and non-Chinese ships that have sounded the horn for 1 minute. Starting from yesterday till the 16th, there will be 1 week of maritime activities and even exhibitions. Early this morning, Dalian primary and secondary school students followed the leadership of the captain to get on board Yu Kun vessel. Now this is the cabin. It's very hot outside. I'm sweating now. But inside the cabin, it's very cool. The captain, Mr. Chen Shicai, is giving instructions to the students. He's doing the science promotion and education to the students. He introduces the different facilities inside the vessel and some basic information about navigation. According to my knowledge, Chen Shicai used to be practicing some glorious missions, for example, to patrol the navigation of some important ships. The students have finished their final exams. So on this day of National Maritime Day, they could get on board. It's a learning experience. Now let's listen to his lecture. Mr. Chen is now introducing the radar system with the navigation map. Sorry to interrupt. Are you introducing the radar system? It's our electronic map. It's called Atlas. It can design the routes and monitor the net sailing. So it's a chart, and also it serves as the eyes of this vessel. It can see if we deviate from the route. If we do, we have to adjust immediately. Where are we now? We are now in the red circle. The data are stored here. If you read the data, you could see the speed and the degree of our navigation direction is about 227. Traditionally, we will navigate towards 113.6 degrees. This vessel is independently developed, and this is the most advanced teaching vessel in the world. Yes. It's the first sailing teaching vessel in China. You must have cultivated a lot of offshore sailing talents. It is put into operation Since 2008, it's been 14 years. Every year, students from the sailing major or the other majors are being interned here. So we have generated tens of thousands of talents. Thank you, Mr. Chen. We will not drag your time anymore. Maybe among those students today, some will become the backbones of Chinese offshore sailing, leaving the cabin. Now let's have a look. The students are learning to read the atlas. This atlas is a necessary support for the navigators, and it's a necessary lesson for the students. He is circling out where we are very accurately in order to decide the direction and the route of navigation. Which grade are you in? 8th grade. Is this your first time here? Yes. I never had such opportunity. Do you feel like a geographical lesson? It's a map. But a lot of the historical information from the previous sailings have been left here. We learn a lot from this map, and it inspires me. In my future studies, I may use those information on the map. An 8th grader, he must have already accumulated rich knowledge. Let's zoom in at this map. It's different from the usual maps. The information is more detailed. Let's ask a professional. I see that you are using the pencils and some other devices. Is this necessary? Yes. We are using those compasses and other devices to notify the positions. We have to learn the atlas, the determination of the positions. With those knowledge, we could find the accurate position of this ship on the map. And with that, the GPS and Beidou system neglected positions would be decided with this calculation of the map. Well said. You're wearing the suits from Dalian Maritime University. The uniforms. Hundreds of years ago, when Zhenhe sailed to the west, there was no electronic support like the Beidou navigation system. He had to rely on the wisdom, even from the ancestors. We will walk to the lower deck of Yu Kun vessel. It's 160 meters long, 18 meters wide. It's called Yu Kun. In Chinese, it means cultivating the rock, and the rock represents the sailing talents. That is a rescue boat. The students are learning about the rescue boat. Haixun is the instructor. What do you teach about the lifeboat? Professor Gao will give the teaching to the students about the lifeboat. And we will also get inside the lifeboat to look at those devices. This is the lifeboat. This is the specification: 7.5 meters long, 2.9 meters wide, and 1.1 meters high. It can accommodate 63 persons. Hello, what are you teaching today? I'm teaching about the lifeboat. When we are sailing on the ocean, there may be collision. And when those accidents happen, when the big vessel cannot protect us, we have to use the lifeboat. This is the #1 lifeboat. It's fully enclosed. It can accommodate 63 people. Let's have a closer look at the inside. This is #1 lifeboat. Since 2008, when the ship is put into operation, Yu Kun vessel has been to 31 countries and regions. Today, on the National Maritime Day, Yu Kun vessel is open to the primary and secondary school students. That is the steering wheel. And this handle is like the gears. That is the small fire extinguisher. Could you please come closer to us? We cannot hear you. This is for life-saving purposes. When we are having an accident offshore, for the other boats to see us, we will light up. With this signal detonator being lighted, the other ships could see us. So even the lifeboat is very small. It has a lot of necessary materials and devices. Our students today are going to get on board this lifeboat to learn some basics. On Yu Kun vessel, some students will also have first-hand experience about, for example, putting on and taking off the life suits and giving out the signal. There are 6 layers of Yu Kun vessel. On the bottom, there is a cabin. Let's keep going downstairs. And we're going to go to the afterdeck. That's for demonstration today. It's 160 meters long, so it's a long distance. We've already come down for 2 floors. Very soon, we are approaching the afterdeck. There will be more services today on the afterdeck. The students are already gathering here. The afterdeck is broader. It is more spacious. The students are learning making knots. The sailors have to learn how to make knots of the ropes. In the ancient times, the key way of connecting with the rope is about making the knots. Every kid is holding one rope, and there are different ways of making the knots. There are a dozen of ways, and their target is that the knots could withstand the water, the sunshine, and so on. It must be very strong. Even though the rope is eroded, the knot will remain there, and it's a must-learn skill of sailors. All maritime workers must work in practices. So, for thousands of years, sailors have been passing on the wisdom of making knots. It's a representation of our sailing history. Let's zoom in to look at the different ways of knots. This is the bow line. And that is the sailor's knot. It is symmetrical. This is the steering wheel. In Dalian Maritime University, the ways of making knots have been one lesson. It's a derivative of the sailing history. They are very beautiful. The nets are compared to the Chinese knot, but they are still beautiful. There are a dozen of ways of making knots. They are in different styles and shapes, but now they are exhibited together. That's one part of our sailing culture. It's also a derivative product of the sailing culture. Let's look at the other students. Is this the sextant? Yes. In the ancient times, when we are offshore, we have to locate ourselves. So we use the sextant to observe the position of the stars. For example, the sun and the Polaris. Then we will check and calculate to get the position of our vessel. Could you please show us about the sextant? First of all, this is the handle. We usually use our right hand to hold it. There are two glasses. This is the movable glass. This is the fixed glass. It is used to reflect the sunlight, and that is the telescope for observation purpose. Two other sets of glasses are used here below. It's used for covering the sunlight when the sunshine is very strong, just like the sunglasses. So mainly you have to look at the sun. Yes, sun is one of those stars. And what is the use? When the GPS and Beidou system were not functional, this sextant is used for locating the boat. We have to calculate an included angle. For example, the angle between the sun and the surface of the ocean. Is the sextant useful? Yes. Do you know how to operate the sextant? Basically, what does it look like to the daily utilities? Telescope? It's very close to a telescope. For the students to put their hands on the sextants for navigation purpose, it's a rare experience. Now let's move on. This is also the exhibition of the self-developed Chinese maritime technologies. It's a robot for fishing offshore. You could see the mechanical arms. They're spreading out the arms and holding the bottle once the bottle is sensed. It's very tightly held. How deep can the robot go down? It can go down to 300 meters below water surface. For the depths below 200 meters, there will be very few sea lives. So between 200 to 300 meters below the surface would be sufficient enough to fish. There is a visible solution in front. Yes, that is a camera for observation. It could look up, look to the front and below. It can look at the situation below the vessel, and it can look front. So it has a strong sense. Usually for the water areas containing a lot of sea lives and seafood, it's blurred. So this robot will be helpful. Usually such smart devices below water was monopolized by some overseas companies, but now, 10 years ago, with our development and research of the underwater robots, we started to change from buying the parts from overseas to self-development. For example, the mechanical arms have been the result of 3D printing technology. We cut and draw by ourselves. Previously, one robot cost 300 to 400,000 RMBs, but now we can self-develop. That's a testing facility underwater. Let's look at the screen. According to our understanding, this robot is used for the examination of the bottom of boats. For example, to check if there is any scratch, to see if we need some cleaning. If it does, this robot can do the cleaning job. It can carry some brushes to get away the adherent materials. I can see the small fish. There must be some things attached to the hull of the boat after years of sailing. If possible, this robot can do the cleaning job. In the beginning, we have to rely on the divers to go down to do the examination and cleaning jobs. But the deep water monitoring equipment can realize efficient and precise monitoring and examination. That's another key technological breakthrough in China. This way, please. They come from the deep ocean. This is from the West Pacific. At around 5,889 meters deep, those are the sediments on the surface. And this is deeper at 7,737 meters. There are also sediments. We can basically conclude about the period it was formed. It was far before, maybe 100 million years before. I have a question. I heard that the deepest point of collection of those samples may be as deep as the Mariana Trench. Yes, we have a system, a self-developed system. This set of deep water system allows very deep collection, even as deep as the Mariana Trench. We could go to 13,000 meters down. And in practices, we already realized 7,762 meters deep. For the biological samples you collected, you have an identification of the varieties. Are there any unknown species? Some are unknown. Our experts have identified some species, but for some, they are unknown. For example, you could get information about the family of the species. For example, the eel family. You must be very excited when you got to those samples. Every time we have a successful sample taking, we were very excited. We proved the reliability of our equipment, Previously, our technologies are imported, but now we have made breakthroughs to break the monopolies. Have you ever seen those bizarre fish? No, this is my first time. Do you think it's fun? Yes. This is even my first time to see those fish families. For example, this is called the willow-shaped eel. And in terms of the color, it's transparent. This shrimp is so big. It comes from 6,000 meters deep. And we don't know about the species right now of this shrimp. Those are all the samples we took from deep water. For the archaeology, maritime archaeology, those technologies are very helpful. The kids are observing on the sides, even though the ship is not big. But we can see the solar panels on top of that vessel. This is the first light field battery panel on top of the vessel. Yes, this is the first boat with this clean energy as the dominant energy. And it could point out to the new trend of low-carbon development. From the first idea to the R&D, how much time does it take? We started the idea in 2016, and then we put it into water. What is the millage? For now, we have 40 kilograms of hydrogen gas. It can last for 180 kilometers. From the initial exploration to mass production and application, how long does it take? On March the 29th, the maritime battery power examination specification was promulgated. It has now entered into the stage of commercialization. In 3 to 5 years' time, I believe in the inland rivers and in the offshore areas, such a power system will be commonly seen. We could hear the sound, but it's very quiet and is comfortable inside and environmental friendly. Today, on board the Yu Kun vessel, we have a very close experience about the maritime development in China. We have our mind blown. When we are looking far into the ocean, we experience the maritime development and the pride of all the practitioners. We would love to thank all of those contributors to Chinese maritime development. Also, there are some maritime patrol ships from the local areas carrying out activities of science promotion to celebrate the National Maritime Day. Dalian City has a base of education for that purpose, and that's all for today's show. Thank you for watching. Good noon, dear viewers. I am the CMG reporter. I am now in Fujian Maritime Base, Pier. This is a very big vessel. This is the China MSA 0006, which means starting from today, it's going to be put into operation. According to my knowledge, this ship could sail to all oceans except the North Pole and the South Pole. It sounds fascinating, and today we have invited our guest from the Maritime Patrol Ship 06. Hello everyone, I am Hong Quan. And can I call you Daguan? Of course. I've heard about this Maritime Patrol 06 for a long time. Could you please introduce about the strengths of 06? It's the first rescue boat in the Taiwan Strait. It's 28 meters long, and it can accommodate 6,600 tons, and it can be used for this life-saving purposes by sailing for 66 days. Why are we building such a ship in the Taiwan Strait? The Taiwan Strait next to Fujian province receives about 20 million visitors every year, and 200,000 ships are sailing in the strait. So because of the busy strait, we need those vessels to safeguard the safety and solve the issue of pollution. It can be used for a patrolling ship, and it's our maritime name card. So this ship has a combination of law enforcement, diplomacy, and search and rescue. Today, me and the second engineer, Mr. Hong, will take you to have a close look at this vessel. We are the first batch of visitors since its operation. Now we will have to climb the ladders. I heard that because of the tide, the boat is a little bit tilted, so we have to pay attention when we are stepping down. And it's very steep. Now we are getting on board. This is the main deck. Let's look up. There is a big badge saying China MSA. So this is the badge of the MSA. Yes. It's colored in blue. It represents that we are serving the maritime environment. Now let's look up further. I can see the code IMO. We would have to ask Mr. Hong, what does it indicate? It's the acronym of International Maritime Organization. With the IMO imprinted, it means that it's our identity card of sailing internationally. So not all boats can be sailing or rescuing in international waters. Only the boats with IMO code can sail in the international waters. And I can see the national flags plugging and flying. Those flags are part of the rituals. Since today is the 18th National Maritime Day, we are celebrating the day by hanging those flags. Please have a tour with me. So hanging those national flags also indicate our friendship. We are trying to extend our circle of friends in the field of maritime affairs. What's that big machine? It's one integral part of our life-saving process. Together with the net and the hanging basket, this lift-up arm can be used for rescue. When the person in charge is in a coma, we would have to lift this person up from the water. We can do an exercise. It's like a fantasy. The power is hydraulic power. It can accommodate 5.5 tons of weight. Now the arm is extended. When the arm is reached out, it can try to save the drowning person in the ocean. Now our operator is extending this mechanical arm. Because of the hydraulic power, it needs sustained power supply. So in this process, let's look at the other parts. The firefighters use those ladders. There is a broad view on the ocean. With the clear sky and the blue ocean, it's a beautiful scene. And that echoes our theme about smart navigation into the deep blue. There is no redundant materials carried on board. Those facilities are about the penetration hat. That is the ladder. In the pier, we need the ladders for the in and out of the personnel. And that is for the sailors' usage. Those are the life rings for life-saving purposes. So that's about the main deck. Next, we're going to take you to get up to look at the new instrument. Please watch a bird view about the 06 vessel. Now we're above the deck. This is the satellite deck. Behind me, that's a very big ball. Beside it, there are two smaller balls like their sisters. Please take a guess. What are the usage of those three balls? Please leave your comments. And Mr. Hong, you can review the answer. It's 3.7 meters in the diameter of this ball. It's a satellite signal receiver. We can use this to connect with the internal network. That's our antenna on the left, and on the right, that's the Maritime 5th generation satellite. It can also help us to surf on the external network. So there is a physical segregation of the internal and external networks. While sailing offshore, signal offshore is poorer. The signal seems to be cut more often, but with the satellites on board, between the boats and between the land and the ocean, there will be stable connection. Over there, we can see several columns in white. That's the life float. There is no power. In emergencies, it will be unlocked, and we will blow it up. They are like the umbrella-shaped protection. It's a contained life-saving instrument, yes. I see two smaller boats here. So why are there smaller boats on the big one? The orange-colored submarine-like boat is a fireproof lifeboat. It can be used for search and rescue and flight. It has a traditional propelling system, and it can accommodate 35 people in full. At 6th grade sailing speed, it can help the people out. We use grade a lot. You don't talk about the kilometers per hour, but rather grade. It's about 2 kilometers per grade. Now Mr. Hong is getting inside. There are a lot of life-saving fresh water and compressed biscuits, the safety belts in every seat, so that for 35 people, everyone could have their own seats. So this boat can be used for the storage of some basic necessities. Offshore, there might be some fire accidents with this lifeboat. We can ensure that the people on board could be saved from the fire. That's a completely different lifeboat. It's a high-speed lifeboat. The propelling system is different. There is no wheel and no pedal. It's pumping the seawater as the power. It can very freely sail offshore. With 3 personnel on board, the speed could be 60 kilometers per hour. And there are some stretches. For example, this stretch is used for life-saving and for daily work. So this is more high speed. On any occasion, this lifeboat will come to rescue. For maritime operation and sailing, it's risky, but with technological development, there are so many advanced technologies to safeguard the sailing experience. Mr. Hong has opened another door. Let's check inside. We see that this is a very spacious area. It's like a football field. This is for the parking of helicopter. Now let's get down. I see that all the stairs on board are very steep and narrow. Is that aimed at saving space? Yes, that's true. You just now mentioned about the warehousing and parking of helicopter. Why do we need a helicopter on the boat? Helicopters are very flexible. So with the helicopter on board, we could give out better capacities. In 06 boat, we can carry the helicopter to the rescue point. And helicopter has no cruise issue. It can have a large-scale search and rescue. The helicopter can put the injured people on board for more treatment. So with this cooperation, we can save more people. Since there is no rescue targets now, there is no helicopter. Now let's look at another window to see the scene of helicopter. So there is an enclosed space and the outdoor space here. We could make use of this door so that this place is fully enclosed. It can withstand the heat of the waves inside. The ice remover or the hydraulic oil tank can be used for the maintenance of the helicopter. So the trailer is in orange? Yes. The green pipe is to have the monitoring about the oil and gas density. When it's exceeding the threshold, there will be early warning. And then the exhaust fan will be turned on to exchange the air. So this is like a replenishing station of the helicopter indoors. It's just like a transfer station, a service station. Now let's get it outdoors. On the floor, we see two yellow circles, and there is an H in the center. That means after the operation, the helicopter will be parked here. Yes, this is the taking off platform. We coat the floor with yellow circles according to stringent requirements. Usually the helicopter will take off in the daytime. Those holes are lights, and they can also be used for the fixture of the helicopter. Look at the white railings. They are vertical right now. When a helicopter is taking off, they could be put flat. This is indeed the biggest patrol ship in the Taiwan Strait. There are helicopters, the satellite receivers, and lifeboats. Now we have already toured the appear at the outside of the 06 vessel, and we would love to go inside. And we have another video prepared for you to get some information about the inside.